All right, it is 7:31. I call to order this meeting of the Borough Council on Monday, March 3rd, 2025. March is Women's History Month, a month set aside to highlight accomplishments of women throughout generations. Luckily, we are fortunate here in Green Tree to have had many female leaders in our regions. From Sophie Masloff, the Pittsburgh's first and only female mayor. But here in Green Tree, we have a solid history of women leaders in our community too. There have been at least 4 council members who were women before the 4 that sit here today. The beauty of council is that we all must work together to move our community forward. And it is thrilling to see a chapter of Green Tree's history where 4 women are sitting on council and we have our first female manager, and we're continuing to take shape. As I honor the legacy of strong, smart, and resilient women who have paved the way for me and my daughter throughout this month, I ask us all to reflect on women in your own history, whether it be locally, in your career, your family, or history that have influenced your lives and the lives of future generations during this evening's moment of silence. So we can have a moment of silence, and then we'll stand for the pledge. Rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a roll call?
Ms. Demi,
Here.
Ms. Houts,
Go ahead, Ms. House. Yes, I'm here.
Mr. Panza,
Here.
Mr. Ray,
Here.
Ms. Schwartz,
Here.
Mr. Tintori,
Present.
Ms. Barron,
Here.
Mayor Schenk.
Present.
We have to approve the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting of February 3rd, 2025.
I have a motion. Do we have a second? A second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the minutes for February 3rd have passed. Now we're on to the workshop meeting for February 17th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from February 17th, 2025 workshop meeting.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
I have a point of clarification I'd like to make. Mr. Ray stated he had a signed petition with 425 signatures. In the list that was sent to me, there were 166 signatures. So I'd like the record to state that the actual amount of signed on the petition is 166, not 425.
I can send you one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and I had a clarification on February 17th, 2025, in regard to the mayor's report. Number 2, it indicates, I brought up a couple of points. Number D, 2D, what is the safety for general pool? It should be users. When the amenities such as the basketball hoop are being used. So instead of used, it should be users. And then down below, number 5, Mayor Schenk noted that during the pool design process, he wrote 2 emails. Could you put in there to council? Doesn't indicate who the emails went to. To council with many questions about the pool and never received a response. So I want to clarify who it went to. And then in number 6, Mayor Schenk said that he would like to know how many people can comfortably, I think I used the word comfortably, be in the pool at the same time. And then in addition, the slide area, I think I mentioned diving board in the pool area. Once you take into account the swim lane, slide area, diving board, and other, if you will add the word other limited uses. I have those changes, to the minutes. Thank you. And in regard to, it's probably too late, but in regard to the other minutes, I did have a note here, the February 3rd minutes. Mayor Shank stated that the mayor has the right to attend. It indicates workshop meetings. If I said workshop meetings, I misspoke. It's committee meetings. So I have the right to attend committee meetings and ask for council to inform him of any such meetings that are scheduled so that he has the opportunity to attend. So it's just switching the word workshop to committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, can we have a vote on the February 17th, 25 minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All abstain, or all no, say no. Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Those minutes have been approved. We are now at the hearing of the citizens. All persons wishing to address general business or agenda items can be heard at this time. You can come up to the podium if you can say your name and your address.
Hello, everyone. Don Faulkner, 1006 Apple Drive. 8, 9, 10 years ago, I went around the whole street, got a petition signed about speed bumps for our street, which the borough changed to, they would put in turning restrictions, which we agreed to. At the time, Dave Moss was the borough manager. He met with us all, we all agreed. One of the reasons for the time restrictions is for the safety of the children walking to the school bus, waiting for the school bus. Mornings are bad, afternoons are ridiculous. I haven't said too much because we've been short on police officers. We have enough police officers now, from what I understand, that we can cover this without overtime and whatever else. They're gonna continue to just keep going. And I'll be honest with you, you could have somebody sit there and they'll still make the turn. They don't care. Or they can't read, or whatever's going on. But if we could address this, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
I will address it with Lieutenant Acting Chief Radigan. Could you identify the street for the record?
Apple Drive.
Right,
It's a big cut through street.
right, I know where you were talking here.
Shannon knows, and the stop signs are a joke. Hers is, it should just say whoa.
Yeah. No. Stop sign.
Thank you.
Clear, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Aldo R. Colati, 143 Shelton Avenue, 15220. Not sure to what extent the pool amenities are going to be discussed, but I want to mention that I continue to be concerned about the safety of the water feature amenities in the main pool. I believe that they would be an obstacle to water aerobics. People during water aerobics do calisthenics and jumping jacks and things like that, and they could bump into those, hit off them. And I believe that that would be a concern. Also, I believe they could be a fall risk. And I mentioned this, I believe in the June meeting of last year. I'm concerned that children could climb up like the pole, like how they climb trees, and that they would be able to climb up those water features and potentially fall into the water, either injuring themselves or somebody else who might be nearby or underneath, another child or whatever. And I think that both of those things would be a concern, whether the water is on or off. I know there was a discussion at the last meeting. Somebody mentioned, well, can you turn the water on and off to those water features? And I think they'd continue to be an obstacle to water aerobics, whether the water's on or off, excuse me. And I think they could be a fall risk if the water is on or off. Perhaps even a greater fall risk if the water is off. because then the children would be able to get up closer to the water without having to get wet. So I continue to have those concerns. And also, that would be another responsibility for the lifeguards to have to maintain, to tell people not to climb on those things. And, if I'm smart enough to think of this, I hate to say, I think the children in Green Tree will be smart enough to think about climbing on those things too. So I think that's a concern. Also regarding the basketball hoop, I've heard no discussion as to what kind of a basketball would be used in this basketball hoop. If it's a regular everyday basketball, or if it's an earth ball or whatever, and I think that should be, qualified. Also regarding the slide, it seems that there's some discussion to have the slide sort of go into its, into a sort of a separate basin, not exactly separate, but, extended or whatever you want to call it. And I don't know if that would solve the problem that we're looking to solve, because, I think people could still get into that area, where the people would be coming out of the slide, whether it's extended or not extended or whatever. That's one of the concerns, why we're interested in that, and, potentially. And so I have concerns about the slide as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we move on to our new business committee chair reports.
Oh, point of order before we move on.
Sure.
At our last meeting, we decided that we were gonna vote on a new agenda at this meeting. The mayor was towards the beginning of the agenda. I don't see the mayor at the beginning of the agenda or the vote to change the agenda.
We do have a vote for the agenda. It should be, it's resolution 1363 on the finance and borough administration.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where's the, okay. Yeah, I apologize.
Okay, so we will start with our community engagement and communication, Ms. Demi.
Hi, we met on February 18th. We're continuing to move our communication and community relations plan forward. We had a focus on some additional data collection, receiving monthly updates on app downloads, email signups, and then analysis of our website Google Analytics. Although we have 700 app downloads and approximately 150 email signups, we still want to be able to determine actual engagement rate, including click-through rates on emails, number of people who have the push notifications turned on, things like that. We discussed the drafting of a communications strategy that looks at a path forward for our borough communications, and we'll be continuing to work on that at our monthly meetings. And we are very excited to announce the launch of the voice call notification system. So there is a flyer over there. So this really acts in tandem with our existing communications. And it's a great program for those who are not digitally engaged, who don't download the app, who can't receive emails. It's going to provide an automatic call for all time sensitive and emergent issues. So this is certainly not a replacement for all communication. But for example, the trash pickup that got delayed for our residents who are not digitally engaged, is going to allow them to get that information in a much faster, more effective manner. But all of this information is duplicative, so it's not going to take the place of a text. It's not going to be additional information than what you would get from the app or emails. So we encourage you to only sign up for this if you're unable to access digital communications or uncomfortable doing so. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? So can you explain how someone would get on this list?
You would call 412, thank you. You would call 412-275-4930 and press 1 to opt in. And again, that's all on the flyer.
And then the other question I have, so in way years past, when we would have done something like this, it was really on the borough to maintain the list going forward. What would happen if someone leaves? Would they have the ability to opt out of the phone calls if they leave the borough? or for some reason they no longer need them.
I actually need to confirm that. I'm sure there's a way to opt out. We just need to.
Yes, if you call that number, it will let you opt out once you've opted in.
Oh,
So you just call the same number.
I'll save number,
Great.
412-275-4930.
Thank you.
I had a question in regard to the communications committee at the last meeting. Just some background, Mr. Ray asked council to add workshop meetings to the calendar with the option to cancel if nothing is on the agenda. He said to scheduling them in advance would make it easier for council to accommodate with their personal schedule. Council continued to discuss whether the workshop meetings should be scheduled in advance or on an as-needed basis. Mr. Panson suggested that the communications committee discuss the workshop meetings, and make a recommendation to council at the March meeting. Just by way of further background, workshop meetings would be an additional meeting, instead of having the 12 first Monday of the month. We were talking about 6 last year, 6 additional meetings. I went back and looked. We did in fact have 5 additional meetings, in addition to the 12 regular meetings. But anyhow, if the communications committee hasn't had a chance yet to look at that, could the communications look at the workshop meetings and make a recommendation to council?
Yes, I apologize. We did get kind of involved in a lot of other things and didn't have a chance to get to it, but I will add that for the first agenda item for our next meeting.
And that all, I mean, that happens, but I just wanted to be sure.
I appreciate you bringing it back to my attention.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Finance and Borough Administration, your chair report.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, I'd like to make a motion to ratify the actions of the borough manager in paying the February 2025 invoices from the general fund totaling $104,228.32. Sanitary sewer fund totaling $29,889.12. Capital projects fund totaling $46,685. Payroll account fund totaling $219,942.52. Educational Service Agency fund totaling $5,629.01. And credit card December 2024, $2,003.90.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Oh, there's, you
Oh,
forgot to ask
sorry.
if there was any discussion on.
Is there any discussion? I'm very worried about making sure that Ms. House can speak, so that's where my head goes.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, and I don't know if this is the proper time, but I have questions on some of the bills, not for the amount, but just for what they are. Would this be the time?
If it's in this section of bills, yes, you can ask those questions.
Looking through the bill sheet, I noticed a number of different bills for internet service. And I mean, I would think, wouldn't we just have one internet account instead of 6 of them? However, it seems like they're from different places. Like one bill is for Hell Park Internet, one is for, different places where 2 things it brings to mind. One is things have changed over 25 years. 25 years ago, when we first had the internet, people were limited with their signal. They wanted, broadband internet. Nowadays, everyone's unlimited, and half the time they're not even connecting to broadband internet. So I was wondering which committee could take a look at that. And then secondly, I noticed a bill for $300 some for internet at the swimming pool for the period of like January 15th to February 15th. I don't know if anyone broke into the swimming pool that used that internet in the middle of January, but and sometimes also in this day and age, you could have like a good internet contract, but then if you don't check it every like 2 years, they're making better providers. We may be able to only have the internet at the swimming pool for a couple of months and then, cancel it. So let me ask that. So I'm not questioning the bills. I'm more questioning what committee do you think should take a look at revamping.
That would be our communication, committee.
Well, yeah, but internet, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
because with
Yeah.
the virtual, now I will say, this is just my own knowledge
Yeah.
of the different bills. I know that, when I was a library in my current space of how we manage our internet bills, it is billed slightly different than my bill at home. And I do think it is worth exploring and getting some explanation as to what the different options are. I mean, of course, we need internet, at the pool during the summer. That is how we keep track of attendance.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so, but I do think that is something, it's absolutely something we can look into or get some clarification on. But that is why we have a new committee.
And also, you know, shop different providers, because some may become complacent and, you know, just they're maybe better pricing. That's all.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's all I have.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Okay, that motion passes. Before we move on, Mr. Tintori, did you have any chair report? Because those are coming first.
Oh,
I know we have a new agenda. It's
yeah. We've discussed a number of things off the top of my head, though. I was more focused on this, so I didn't put the question. Yeah, we had a meeting on it was the very end of February. So I can update. But I just didn't have that. It's at this time.
okay, thank you. All right, we can move on.
Sure. First, also next, I would like to.
Oh, we didn't vote yet.
We did.
Yes, we did.
Did we? Oh, okay. Oh. Well, I missed that.
You
Yes.
voted and you said yes.
You voted.
Okay, got it.
Next, I would like to make a motion to approve payment of the March 2025 invoices from the general fund totaling $238,125.45. Storm sewer fund totaling $121,867.46. Sanitary sewer fund totaling $22,967.07. And capital projects fund totaling $82,174.58.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Any discussion?
I have a question on the sanitary sewer fund. So do we know how, so that's the Heckler Drive sanitary sewer, do we know how long that project is? And how much more? Yeah.
The last update that I had was that they were doing some final landscaping that couldn't be done until weather was permitting. The actual sewer was complete. So I believe what they were working on now was just, grass landscaping issues from the work that was done.
So that's final payment.
I'm not sure if it's final payment, we can check with you.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstains? Okay, that motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce resolution 1363, which is the setting of the Borough Council meeting order of business. So I make a motion to move that we adopt resolution 1363, setting the Borough Council meeting order of business pursuant to 28-2A and 28-2E1. And that is provided in the packet.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Any discussion?
What's the difference? So is the one in the resolution, the proposed new agenda?
The new agenda will be the agenda that looks like this.
Resolution
Currently.
1363. It's in there and it tells you exactly what it is.
I
So
can pull it up right now, but
I do have a comment. The history here, for the first 10 years I was mayor, the charter, we have a charter, and the mayor spoke after the hearing of citizens. There was a hearing of citizens, then the mayor spoke. Then in 2022, they decided to change that. Initially, it was unilaterally changed without considering the charter, but I raised the stink. And so they eventually passed the resolution. There was a committee meeting, and the compromise was that the mayor would speak after the new business by the committees. So it was a hearing of citizens, then the new business by the committees, then the mayor, then the committee chair reports. The last meeting, without a resolution, they tried to change it again, but you need a resolution. So the last time I requested to be, bumped up earlier. So now, the mayor, under this new proposal, speaks after new business, after the committee chair reports. There was a comment, made by, Ms. Barron that should call me to discuss it. There was no such discussion. But anyhow, I would like to, have the mayor's report after the hearing of citizens. And if not, I can live with it, because I'll make my comments anyhow, as I'm doing tonight, as we go along. But anyhow, the mayor's getting bumped further and further down the list in the meeting for whatever meeting, whatever reason, they're gonna claim efficiency, but anyhow, I'm
So-
looking after other mayors, not just myself. I think it's the position of the mayor, it's not the personality, it's the position, not the personality. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, so in the last meeting, when we did discuss it and why I did not call you, is because you specifically said it was self-serving for you to go first. At that point, you are correct. You saw that in addition to every time we bring this, we have, motions on the floor, in addition to the chair's report. It is of great interest for the chairs to be able to discuss what they have present tonight. And every one of us is able to chime in during that time. You were before me, you are also before the manager's report. And seeing that we do not bring, things to vote, it makes sense to have our votes go first.
When was this discussed in the finance committee that happened last week?
I'm not in that committee.
It's the president's decision.
It is the
If you
president's
look, the
decision.
president
Yeah.
can decide what to do.
Well, who put forth the resolution? It's under your section.
It falls under our
It falls on.
jurisdiction, but it's.
I'm just asking if you talked about it in the
No,
committee meeting.
we did not.
So who came up with the resolution?
I did.
It's the president's decision to put that up.
It was
Looked at
my decision to structure the meeting this way.
Did we
Yes.
get any feedback, other council members, or
I have gotten personal feedback from council members, yes.
I wasn't asked for my opinion.
I didn't ask, people gave it to me.
I gave it to you in public meeting, I think. that-
And I still put forth this, yeah.
Who else agrees? I guess we'll see. who
Well, we're gonna-
comes to
We're
vote.
gonna vote. It's a roll call vote. Can we have a roll call, please?
Wait,
Oh,
one-
sorry,
one-
go ahead.
I'm sorry, one matter of discussion was, we did talk about the committees, the committees would rotate throughout the year. You know, like,
In
I mean,
order of appearance.
In
Yeah,
order of
in
appearance.
order of appearance.
We have to set it first and then we could.
Oh, okay, that doesn't have to be part of,
It's under my understanding that does not have to.
okay.
Can I ask who else you reached out to? Or who-
I did not reach out to anyone. I had members of council reach out to me.
Does anybody want to share who reached out to?
I mean, I can tell you that what I like of the structure is that by having the chair report, instead of us just putting a vote up, we can actually explain what the committee is we're talking about, give some background and educate not only council even further, but the citizens as to what's going on that committee before we just vote on something. I think it's much more transparent way to discuss this.
I agree, though. So that's not what the concern is. The concern is where the mayor is in the order of the meeting.
Honestly, I think that the business of the meeting should be front and center. I do think that. I think that remarks, those kind of things, that should come after we need to get through the business.
We have a roll call vote.
Mr. Tintori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Houts, Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
No.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Barron.
Yes. That motion passes. Thank you.
Next, I would like to make I would introduce ordinance number 1906, setting wages and benefits for the full-time borough employees. So I'd like to make a motion, I move that we pass ordinance 1906, setting wages and benefits for the full-time borough employees.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, have some discussion. The borough manager is a full-time employee, to the best of my knowledge. In December, they passed an 18% increase, lots of days off. I couldn't count that high, because I don't have enough hands and toes, but they did pass. And I suggested that since they did it for December, it was retroactive all the way back to 2025. I made a strong recommendation. We should do it for 2 years. When you're giving somebody that kind of raise, when you're giving somebody that many days off, you should do it for 2 years. And so everyone else is they're passing a resolution for all the full-time employees, but leaving them out the borough manager. So I don't know when that's going to be taken care of. Maybe at the end of the year, maybe it's going to be retroactive again. But I just thought it would be government efficiency on a number of levels to do both at once. So I just want to point out, it says full-time employees, but it's not all full-time employees. Thank you.
Was this on the January agenda? Or, I'm sorry, the
I think
February.
it was February and we postponed it.
We had an
And an executive meeting about
Who
it.
asked for the executive session?
Did I?
No,
I think Ron.
No, I think I did.
I did.
There was
I asked for
multiple
the,
people.
I asked.
You weren't the only one.
It's in an email, Art, I can show
I
you. the
I asked too.
You
He
did
asked
not.
me.
You
But
did not.
that's
You-
okay.
you're-
You can join.
Let's not argue over this. Mr. Ray, can you complete your thought? Thank you.
I asked for the executive session. Had I not asked for the executive session, this would have went to vote at the February meeting. As a result of that executive session, there were a number of employees that received substantial increases. And I advocated for those increases in that executive session. This council was ready to vote on what was recommended by the borough manager at the February meeting. And I'll show you the email where I asked for the executive session, no one else.
You are not the only one
I asked for
to
it
add,
first.
you are not the
I
only one
asked
who,
for
you are
it
not
first.
the only one who advocated in that meeting. You know that is true. Is that true,
brought
Mr.
it
Ray?
up. I
Are
brought it up first. It's the reason
I am-
why I wanted the executive session. You didn't call the executive session, did you?
Mr. Ray,
You did not.
no
call
one
the
is, I am not arguing that you called that
Yes.
executive decision. However, I want to be clear that you are not the only one who advocated. Is that correct?
If I said I was the only one, I take that back. I
Thank you.
wasn't the only one, but I am the only one that initiated the executive session. Had I not initiated the executive session, this would have went to vote in February with the borough manager's recommendations for the increases, and those employees would not have received the increases they received. Second of all, in the handbook, the borough handbook, it says that that performance reviews are mandatory. Did the borough manager perform any performance reviews using an official form? The answer is no, she did not, because she disagrees with doing performance reviews.
Honestly, that's probably incorrect, but you can say it. That's fine.
Not incorrect, I'm not giving. It's not incorrect.
It is.
She does do
She
reviews.
She does reviews. I said using an official form as indicated in the employee handbook.
Obviously.
And David, I believe we discussed that we would be taking that to the finance committee to look at.
Yeah, and so that's my next question. Did you look at it?
We have not talked about that yet because we were working on some other things, but it is on the list.
Right, what were you working on? Because Mr. Detour did not have a report.
We were starting the peer reviews. We're looking at the peer.
Okay, great. Well, he didn't say that in his report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all I have.
And we have a roll call vote.
Mr. Tintori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Houts.
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Barron.
Yes. That motion passes. Moving on.
Okay, then I'd like to introduce ordinance 1907, setting wages and benefits for the part-time and seasonal borough employees. I'd like to move that we pass ordinance 1907, setting hourly wages for the part-time and seasonal borough employees.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
My previous comments stand for this ordinance as well.
Can we have a roll call vote?
Mr. Tintori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Haltz.
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
yes,
Ms. Barron.
Yes.
Okay, next up. Motion to authorize the borough manager to lien the 2024 unpaid real estate tax. Therefore, I move that we authorize the borough manager to lien the 2024 unpaid real estate tax. It's the thing we do every single year.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
second,
Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, why did we make it public again this year?
Yeah.
We said last year that we would stop making it public. Why did we make it public? At least one page made it public.
I do not have any recollection that we agreed that it would not be public. It is public information.
It's public information. So are salaries, but we don't make those necessarily public either. We, and because this was a big ordeal, this is one page. This is actually probably usually about 15 pages of delinquent, so somehow one page got in there.
I don't have the answer to why that got in there.
Well, I apologize to the people on this list for making that public.
It is public knowledge.
It is public knowledge, but we made it in the agenda.
I don't remember that either. You might be right.
I'll bring it up. Then why is there only one page?
I'm shocked that there's one page in there as well,
Yeah.
honestly.
Are you disappointed? I'm disappointed.
I am just.
Yeah, I don't know why there's just one page. All right. Can we have an all in favor?
We have a vote, right?
Yes.
We're not doing a
What are
This
we
is just
voting
an
on?
all in
We're
favor.
voting on her being able to,
authorize the leaning. We
To
just, I just
authorize
read
the
the whole
lien.
thing.
So usually council's provided this in an executive session so that we can see the report.
I don't remember exactly. But we were provided with the information. So you can vote or not.
Where's the information? There's only one page. We didn't get an email saying it's confidential. That we normally do. We're voting on one page of delinquent notices. I moved. You authorized for unpaid real estate tax. We're on there. What are we voting? I make.
All the unpaid real estate
Okay.
taxes. That will be a,
Mr. Ray, do you want to make another motion?
I'd like to make a motion to table this until the April meeting so that we can have all the information that we need to make it start.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second on the table to table it till April. Can we have a roll call vote for that one, please?
Mr. Tintori,
no,
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Haltz.
Yeah.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes,
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes,
Ms. Barron.
Yes.
and I think we need to put a reminder in somewhere that this does not happen again.
yes, I agree.
Okay. We're moving on to.
thank you very much.
Thank you. We're moving on to infrastructure. Ms. House, I'll hold you up to my microphone. Yes.
Okay, so, we have a couple of general announcements. The PennDOT Parkway Expansion Project, will have a public meeting on Wednesday, March 12th at the Green Tree Borough Building. This is open to the public from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So the representatives from PennDOT will be there to sort of explain the project and then answer any questions, that the citizens may have. On April 7th, during the normal council meeting, a representative from Janet Fleming will attend that meeting to give a summary briefing on the Trumbull Ridge replacement project. As far as ongoing borough business, the Arla store water alcohol restoration still under construction. It was paused due to weather and it is expected to be completed within the next couple of weeks, weather permitting. The Heckler Drive sanitary sewer project is nearly complete. Restoration has been completed. However, there may be some additional minor work required in the spring. We have had tremendously bad weather, not so much with the snow, but the ice and the cold temperatures have affected the roads drastically in the borough. So due to that, the 2025 road program has a couple of recommended changes based on damage that was sustained over the winter. In particular, Pocono and Hawthorne Avenues will be replaced by Anderson and Holiday in the base bid, but they will remain on the list as alternatives. The Green Tree Park parking lots have been completely removed altogether. And the infrastructure committee will review this with the borough manager in more detail next month. Phase 3 construction is going to start this summer, sidewalk improvements to Green Tree Road. They are being finalized and it's going to go out to bid in spring of 2025. $247,000 in grant funding has been approved for this project. And then phase 4 has also received grant money in the amount of $250,000. That is about $175,000 less than what we had requested. So the scope of work in phase 4 will have to be adjusted to accommodate the funds that we received. Park Edge sanitary line repairs. This work is going to begin as soon as the storm sewer project is wrapped up and is covered under a blanket contract by CPSI. And I believe that concludes the general update. And then I have a resolution. I'd like to talk about resolution number 1364, a Trumbull Drive Bridge reconstruction project authorizing the borough manager to execute documents required by the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, Engineering, and Construction Management System. I move that we adopt resolution number 1364, authorizing the borough manager to execute agreements, contracts, and documents as required by the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, Engineering, and Construction Management System.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a discussion. A motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Yes. In regard to the agenda, it talks about the Trumbull Drive Bridge reconstruction project. That's what we're authorizing the borough manager to do. However, the resolution itself never mentions the Trumbull Drive Bridge reconstruction. So I think there should be an amendment to the resolution authorizing the borough manager to execute these agreements, contracts, and documents as long as they pertain to the Trumbull Drive Bridge project, reconstruction project.
Yeah, we can do that.
So someone on the council would have to make a motion to amend and then have to be seconded, correct?
Okay, so,
You can remake it, Jen, yes. Is it,
okay.
and is this?
So I move that we make a motion to amend this motion that is resolution 1364 that would authorize the borough manager to execute agreements, contracts, and documents as required by the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, Engineering, and Construction Management System as they pertain to the Trumbull Drive Bridge reconstruction project.
A second.
Is this an update to a previous resolution? Because I assume that she's probably already engaging with these contracts. So is this something?
I did not hear that whole thing. Does that require response, right?
Yes, yes.
Isn't she already engaging with PennDOT on these contracts? So
Is this an update to the past? Isn't this work already being done? And is this what this is for things going forward?
So this is so we're still in the final engineering phase, and we have a designated construction manager for the project manager for the project that, PennDOT is working with. And Ms. Miller received an update from them near the end of February. So all this does is this authorizes the borough manager to execute any agreements for our portion, which is only 5% of the project. And Ms. Miller has confirmed that the borough's portion will remain at $350,000, which was put into the budget.
$350,000 for engineering.
For the bridge itself, that's our.
For the entire project.
Entire project.
So regardless of how much the bridge costs, we're only paying $350,000.
Correct.
That is correct. That is what Ms. Miller told me at our last update, and she had a recent meeting with the project manager that is assigned to this project.
That's the.
And that
5%.
project manager confirmed that the borough's commitment remains at $350,000. So this purpose of this resolution is to cover all of the updated contracts that will be executed for final design and construction documents for the bridge.
So is that a new development so just so I understand, the maximum amount that we're paying for we're talking about the construction of the bridge or just the engineering or just this one contract, or is the entire amount, the maximum outlay is $350,000?
That is what the project manager told Ms. Miller at their last meeting.
Okay.
And then all of these, just for additional color, all of these documents and contracts are managed by the state project manager through the engineering and construction management program.
We're sure that that's just not for the construction management portion of the bill, because we don't know, we haven't put the bridge out to bid yet, so who's covering the rest?
Based on everything that Ms. Miller told me at the last meeting I had with her, and she confirmed that after she spoke to the project manager, she reiterated that the borough's total commitment is $350,000.
All right.
Any further discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Houts,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Barron.
Yes. That, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to public facilities, parks and equipment. Ms. Schwartz.
Right, the largest section of votes in the agenda. So our committee has met twice in the past month, once before the workshop, once after the workshop. We did ask the architects to give us hard numbers and really look at the idea of pushing the slide run out outside of the pool area to maximize the swimming area in the main pool. And they did do that for us. So we do have in everyone's hands options of site plans, one of which has just the extension of the lounge area as to swimming area, and then one that moves the slide out and gives us more space. That does bring the square footage up considerably. We are now within a little over 300 square feet of our original current pool square footprint. And it would give us that open space that we were concerned about being taken away by people coming out of the slide. So that being said, that is one of the options we have this evening. We are at the final phase of design. If once we can make these decisions, they can finalize the designs. We will have completed designs and plans by April, which would then enable us to have them set out, put out to bid. More importantly, Mr. Ray, I know you brought up having the engineers take a look at those drawings, which I actually and the committee had recommended be done after the drawings are complete, to have Lennon Smith take a look over them, make sure before anything were to go out to bid, to review the designs and plans. So with that being said, I think the easiest way we talked about going through these changes is to go individually down each item. I'm just gonna talk about them real quick and then we can move forward and if anyone has anything else discussion. The first item that you'll see is revising the footprint. This would be specifically removing the lounge area, the lounge shelf, and changing that to stairs across and making that swimmable area to the same depth as the rest of the pool. Followed, and then it goes into the different items that are options. We've already discussed a lot of these. I think that, the community has made it very clear where their feelings are on a lot of these items. So I think, doing a roll call gives us the opportunity to go through that. There's the mushroom fountain, the in-water chases, which are on here, but if we remove the sign shelf would be inapplicable. The shade structure as an alternate bid, the flume slide, the floatable shark, the floatable manta ray, the starting blocks for the swim team, the lane lines for the swim team, the dive stand and board, the aqua zip line, the swim and dunk basketball hoop, the deck umbrellas, tall mission hill spray feature, tall mission shower spray feature, tall mission hoopy spray feature, yard umbrellas, and then the final item would be to revise the footprint to accommodate for the sliding board run out, which would then estimate improving the flow of the main pool. So those were the items that we have to consider. Now, the one thing is that this is our final step for development. This in no way commits us to build this pool. If we were to find that there was financial concerns when we get to the point of getting contract, like putting it up to bid and getting bids back, until we engage in a contract, we are not committing to make any payments towards the development of this pool. I think all of us are concerned about funding opportunities and what that means for any project that are already there. So we won't know what the pool's gonna cost until we get bids back. That's the first thing. We have an estimate. That is not firm. Those are all estimates until we actually get a bid from the contractor. This is just completing the money that we have already put forward into the design phase and getting a completed design so that we have something to work with. So that's what today is about. It is not about breaking ground. It is not about awarding a contract to a contractor. This is just completing the actual design of the pool so that those drawings are done. So that is what we are doing tonight. So I will,
Well, we have Mr. Mayor, I think has a question, and then we have a, resolution before we get into the Wilson Park specific specifications, so I just wanted to be that clear, but.
In regard to the drawings, it says new full site plan on 3 of them, just to be clear.
these are options.
Right. But you probably should label them. I can't help myself. A, B, and C, so we know
So when we're talking,
so we know which one we're
I
talking about.
don't disagree with that for the confusion.
Right. I mean, there's 3 separate distinct options.
Correct. One is kind of leave it as is. but
Which, what was the official name of this C1? A
C12-1.
C12?
I don't think that those numbers apply anymore. There've been too many changes.
Too many changes.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion that we, handle resolution 1336
Before we get into
before we
the-
make any of those,
Absolutely.
calling it what, because I'd like to get this off of.
Yeah.
the agenda.
All right, bring forward resolution 1365, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Grant for Park Edge Park improvements. I move that we adopt resolution 1365, authorizing the borough manager to file an application for Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Grant for $85,000 to be used for the Park Edge Park improvements.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Okay, can we please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Helps,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Barron.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Thank you. So we can go back to the
Yeah.
whole things. What would you like us to call? Are we calling? things
Well, I think
certain
it
things?
says rendering A, B, and C on that, if you look at the top. It does say.
There's A and B,
And
and then there's the initial.
So, yeah, there's the initial plan, and then there's A and B are the two that. So rendering A addresses the top, which is the revised footprint. Number one, and rendering B actually addresses, number 18.
So we can go original A or original B.
Well, original is, with the sunshine, it has the sunshine.
But what is being put out by recommendation is rendering A.
The recommendation of our committee was made prior to us having the final numbers
Okay.
for the slide. So, depending, and I will say this, when we approved the design, that price range included every single one of the amenities that could be added to the pool. So as we reduce those amenities, that is not being included into that cost at that point. So it is up to council, this is something to report, that if we are reducing the majority of amenities, we've already reduced quite a bit from the baby pool, that money could be allocated then to offset the cost of doing the outset for the slide. So it would not change it in cost, it would just shift it to a different. So if we don't go with 5 water sprays and the manta rays and all of those things, that money could then be moved over and used to make that offset to bring the slide in. And increase our square footage in the pool for a more enjoyable pool experience.
So is there anything, before we begin, is there anything here, because when I'm looking at this revised footprint, I'm looking at rendering A,
Rendering B.
but it should be rendering B now.
Rendering B is the one with the slide being pulled back
Yes,
and a plunge area per se being extended out of the pool so that when you come off of the slide, you are not coming into the main pool. That could be roped off so that it would be separated, but
and is that, if you look at motion, the number 1 on the emotion,
that is not.
No.
Motion 1 is representative of A.
Yeah, where in the end, I think
It's also included in B, I
the,
would say.
the committees. Good.
go ahead, Ms. House.
Oh, I was gonna say, it looks like motion 18 is the revised footprint for rendering B, is that correct?
It is
Is
that-
there a reason
It
why
is,
rendering A and rendering B are so far apart from each other on this list?
only because it was the last thing added and the list is coming from the original specifications that we had talked about at the previous workshop.
Thank you.
I believe it was the committee's wish to end up with rendering B at the end, but
Correct.
we'll see.
We'll see how it's,
We'll see how it
that
goes.
okay.
What do you mean, see how it goes? Don't we have to know what the design is before we vote?
No,
Well,
no,
we're
no.
saying, like,
We'll see
Here's
how
the
they
thing.
work. That was pretty simple.
we're gonna vote on each item. And basically, if we vote on 1, that starts rendering A, if we approve that. And then if we get to 18 and we vote for 18, that moves it to rendering B because we're adding that change to the pool.
So what size will play into your decision on what to include or not to include?
I mean, I guess we could we move 18 up?
Yes.
And put that as the second? I'm fine with that, if everyone else is, Mr. Ray, does that work?
I would prefer that personally.
Yeah.
We'll do 1
And then 18.
and then 18. Okay, our Ms. Schwartz, you're gonna be doing a lot of reading.
Yes.
Okay,
Let me get a Greek water. All right. Wilson Pool Construction Specifications. I move we approve the following for inclusion in the Wilson Pool Construction Specification. Number 1, revised footprint. Eliminate sun shelf lounge area to expand the swimmable area as shown in rendering A. Estimated net cost of negative $16,000.
can we please have a second
I'll second.
Any discussion?
This negative 16,000, we're talking construction costs or construction?
That's
and-
estimated savings on the cost of construction, yes.
Are there any additional engineering costs related to neighbors?
They did not, when they gave us the specifications for the run out, they did not say that there were engineering, the cost for the slide, I want to say was 80,000 for one part of it and 40,000 for the other, which led us to the 120. Was broken apart,
So no additional engineering costs.
not that we've been told now.
A point of order.
Sure.
Fundamentally, I totally understand Mr. Ray's position on, he doesn't know what size the swimming pool is, so that would affect how he votes. However, we just stated that we were going to be able to vote on the addition of the slide area depending on the amount of money saved.
Yeah.
So if we move 18 up, we have no idea how much the money saved. So
Right.
what we just said would be irrelevant to
I
the
will-
process.
Thank you for that clarification. I will go with whatever your committee would like to see.
I'm fine with doing it, Mr. Ray's way. That's fine.
I
just
wasn't
wanted to point
suggesting a
out.
way, I was just pointing out that.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's well understood, but there's always a second side to this.
And yeah, it's good to go either.
Yeah.
Either way.
But let's try Mr. Ray's way.
Ms. Schwartz, what would you like to do?
Um,
You will be reading all of these. so-
I will be reading all these. Consensus of council, would you like 18, like next after one, or would you like 18 at the end? Some. It works one way or the other. It's really what you are all most comfortable with. Mr. Ray?
I don't have an opinion because I'm probably voting no on everything, so.
Okay,
Okay, well, then in that case, if
Mr.
he
Mayor
doesn't
has
care.
a-
go ahead.
Mr. Mayor.
I think this is the size of the bowl, number 1 and 18. I think that's the logical way to do it. Let's get the size.
Okay, then that's what we will do. All right, so again. Revised footprint, eliminate sun shelf lounge and area to expand swimmable area as shown in rendering A. Estimated net cost of negative 16.
Okay, we had a motion, we had a second. Can we do a roll call?
Ms. Schwartz,
Oh,
I
sorry.
have a point of clarification. If we vote yes for this one, can we then also vote yes for? this?
Yes, they're both, the final drawing that we have includes both.
I just wanna make sure.
It does include both.
Okay,
The side shelf elimination to be swimmable area and
And
the
then-
slide.
got it. Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
Wait, how can you vote on both?
We're voting on this area right now, and then this number 18 will be.
You're
this.
voting-
each change is its own. So the change to the sun shelf is one vote, the change to the slide is another. They're both incorporated on drawing, but they're each individually their own changes.
It's not an either.
It's
Yeah,
not an
it's not
either
either
or. You can do both.
In this vote, we're expand the main pool water area to 6,921 feet.
The first one.
The first
If
one
we
you
do
voted
both,
right now.
if we do both, it goes to 7,286.
The
Correct.
vote right now gets it up to
Yes.
6,921.
Correct.
Mhm.
So audience.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tentori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Houts, Mr. Panza,
Yes,
Mr. Ray,
No, do we have a chance to talk about this particular item? We had a motion.
We did, I did ask for discussion, but I mean, you can ask it before you
No.
vote.
So my question is more about the overall design, I guess it's not relevant to this point, right, so I guess. No, no. No comment.
Okay,
Ms. Barron,
yes. That motion passes.
I will move to number 2. 7 to 6, 7'6" diameter mushroom.
no,
18.
18.
Oh, we're doing 18, sorry. It changed a few times. Number 18, revised footprint, add additional square footage to accommodate the required sliding board run out as shown on rendering B. estimated additional cost of $120,000.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So do any of the design, yeah, I do have discussion. So, do any of the designs take into account the depth that we've heard countless times from members of the borough, regarding the 5 foot club, regarding the edge, regarding the foot terms for the swim team, yeah, the interaction between the younger patrons and the older patrons who want their space. Was there any discussion in the committee about that and how we could devise the design to accommodate
One
everybody?
of them was the slide run out, moving that out of the space to take that aspect out of the center of the pool. That seems to be an area where the majority of people do congregate. That also does provide more edge area. If you look on, now we have that whole area along the side.
Around the
As well as, so that does provide more edge.
But it provides more edge within the plunge area of the slide.
No, and along the lower area, because the slide would have been coming in, so you would have lost that area.
And what about the, there's gonna be one large space until you get to the 2 swimming lanes at the other end of the pool. Where do we, have space for, our patrons that don't want to be interacting, with the younger patrons of the pool, where they don't have space? How are we gonna accommodate everybody's use of the pool in their own space, like we have in our perfect design?
I don't
over the last 6
So that
years?
there's ever any way you can accommodate a pool where every single person has their own separate space.
I didn't say every single person, I said, the different. The different ways the pool is being used as it is currently in our perfectly designed pool that we've had in the past 60+ years. So we have our 5 foot club, we have our teenager club, we have the young kids in the pool. Where does that happen in this new design?
I mean, I would think that right now, we have very close to what we currently have as far as square footage, very close.
Yeah.
And you have areas in your deep end where that is where most of the teenagers hang out. Around the diving board over in that area. You still have the area over on the side in the 4.5 foot. We have not addressed the depth. 4.5 foot will be the depth of the pool in that area. That is going to remain. And that is at the, as standard in every youth pool that's going in the area.
Wait, what's the standard?
4.5 feet.
4.5 feet.
If you go to Scott Township, if you go to Crafton, I believe the new pool in Whitehall, same thing. In fact, there's a 4 foot.
So that's a standard, like that's.
That's
industry
pretty
standard?
typical. I mean, I wouldn't say standard, but that's typical. That's what they're typically using. That's what you're seeing in design.
Okay, so typical, not standard.
But it is also in the architect said, based on the design of the pool, moving to 5 foot was a safety concern and not possible.
What was, I didn't hear the safety concern.
Yes, he said multiple times that there have been cases of pools that have a slope that goes to 5 foot, that it poses a drowning risk. And that they did not recommend it, and that is why they do not do it, because it is a safety concern.
To go from, if we went from 4 to 6
If we
to
went to
5.
the 5, because of the way that the slope is with the deep well and all of that, yes. And he explained that in the meeting, in the workshop.
All right, I'll have to check the minutes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We had discussion. Can we please have a roll call vote?
I just wanted to add,
Mr. Mayor.
how many square feet? So this would be in addition to eliminating the lounge, which was already done by the Borough Council. This would be an extension for the slide area, would take the pool area up to 7,286 feet. That would be in the current pool is 7,593, so you'd be 300 square feet. You'd be getting close.
Yeah,
You'd be
very
300 square.
close.
Okay, but this will take it up to 7,000. This goes to 286 square feet.
Well, it doesn't take into account the ADA accessible ramp, which is another probably 300 square feet or so, maybe more. There were probably more like 600 square feet total, less than the existing design.
David, I would really advocate about helping the handicap and having an ADA ramp.
Mr. Panza, I never once said that we should not have an ADA compliant ramp,
Oh, okay.
not once.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we have a motion discussion. Can we please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes,
Mr. Tentori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Haltz, Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
No.
Ms. Barron.
Yes. Okay, that revised.
I'm gonna move to number 2 now. 7-foot-6-inch diameter mushroom fountain shown as amenity number 1 with an estimated cost of 18,000.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
I'm not, I'll just say, I'm not a fan of this feature. I think it's large, it would be in the way. I think that a lot of young kids do not like water falling on their heads. So the idea of a fountain like that would not be my cup of tea, but that's fine.
Okay, any other discussion points? All right, can we have a roll call vote then, please?
Ms. Schwartz,
No,
Mr. Tentori,
No.
Ms. Demi,
No.
Ms. Haltz, Mr. Panza,
No.
Mr. Ray.
No.
Ms. Barron.
No. Okay, that is number 2. Moving on to number 3.
in water signature Chase Lounge is shown in amenity 2 with estimated cost of 4,000. Now that we've eliminated the
Third, it's not
the
an
water
option.
shop, it's not really an option. So I don't know that we need discussion other than. just
That is a
discussion.
strength.
Do
Do we
we
need
need
the
to
roll
vote
call?
on it? No,
No,
we
it's
eliminated.
Inapplicable, I don't believe we need a vote at that point.
Okay,
Moving to number 4, the cantilever shade structure shown as amenity number 3. As an add alternate with an estimated cost of 30,000. This is not being proposed as to be installed. What we are looking to do is see what the cost would be as an alternate bid when we put it out to bid, if we would choose to have it put. So it is not a, yes, we're putting it in, it's a, let's find out what the actual cost would be instead of an estimate. And this would be over, I believe it was over the shade area. Yeah. We're talking about the shade structure. And that was originally to be placed in the area where the sun shop was, so it would shade that area.
can we have a motion?
Motion to approve an add alternate bid for the cantilever shade structure shown in amenity number 3 with an estimated cost of 30,000.
Second.
Can we have a motion and a second, any discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call?
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tentori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Haltz,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
No.
Mr. Ray,
Yeah, we heard loud and clear that the residents didn't want this workshop, so no.
Ms. Barron.
Yes. Okay, that one is passing. We'll move on to number 5.
Large open flume slide shown as amenity number 4 with an estimated cost of $65,000.
You make the motion.
Motion to approve a large open flume slide shown as amenity number 4 with an estimated cost of $65,000.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any motion discussion? Motion second. Do we have any discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tentori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Haltz, Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray.
No.
Ms. Barron.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Moving on to number 6.
All right, motion to approve the floatable shark shown as amenity number 5 with an estimated cost of $11,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think it would take up too much space.
I agree with that.
Yeah, not a fan.
I also think that they will not wear well, so they would have to be replaced more often, so.
Are there any others that the committee just unanimously reached consensus that should be on the list? or
I mean,
same time?
we did come to that at the last meeting before we tabled it. If you would like me to mention the ones that did not get the votes, I could go over that right now.
Save us time going.
I
through the
mean-
ones that you know, we vote on.
I mean, we're gonna vote on it. 'cause
We're
it's
just gonna-
on. Let's just go through it.
We'll go quickly.
So we have a motion, we had a second, we had discussion, we have a roll call vote.
Ms. Schwartz,
No,
Mr. Tentori,
Yeah.
Ms. Demi,
Yes. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No.
Ms. Haltz, Mr. Panza,
No.
Mr. Ray,
No.
Ms. Barron.
No.
All right, motion to approve a political manta ray shown as amenity number 6 with an estimated cost of $7,000.
Same comment.
Same here.
All right, so we have the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have the motion, we have a second. The comments were the same as before. For the, yes, as the shark. Can we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Schwartz,
No.
Mr. Tintori,
No.
Ms. Demi,
No.
Ms. Houts,
No.
Mr. Panza,
No.
Mr. Ray, Ms. Barron.
No.
Okay, point of interest. If everyone's gonna vote no, then, no, if we don't second it, then
Yeah, if no one seconds it, then we don't have to.
vote.
That might be an easier way to go. All right. Well, all
Okay.
right. Motion to approve competition starting blocks shown in amenity number 7 with an estimated cost of $25,000.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Give that second to Ms. Demi. Do we have any discussion?
With the swim team wants this, is that correct?
Yes,
Correct.
and the swim team coach has given Judy the specifications of the type of blocks that they would like to get. So that you have that information.
Okay, can we please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Houts,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
No.
Ms. Barron.
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the competition lane lines with an estimated cost of $4,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Same question about the swim team, the competition.
Yes, this would be for their needs.
Thank you.
Can we please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Houts, Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
The swim team also asked for 5 feet, so I'm not sure how much their opinion matters now.
Ms. Barron.
Yes.
All right, make a motion to approve the dive stand and board shown in amenity 9 with an estimated cost of $15,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
The current time we have, it's 1 meter, is that correct?
I believe so. I have to look.
I believe it's
It's basically the exact same dive board, but it's new.
So what council's voting on is 1 meter.
Yes.
Can we have a roll call vote?
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Houts,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
No.
Mr. Ray,
No.
Ms. Barron.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next one.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the aqua zip line shown in amenity number 10 with an estimated cost of $15,000.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All right, we have no second. We do not need to vote on that. That is not going anywhere.
Okay, I make a motion to approve 16-foot deck umbrellas with an estimated cost of $13,000.
Oh, wait, we skipped the basketball.
I skipped the basketball, I'm sorry. I make a motion to approve the swim and dunk basketball hoop shown as amenity number 11 with an estimated cost of $1,500.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, about removability, that was discussed before, just the whole, it's the pool, it's removable also.
I believe what it is there's a cap in the ground of the pool that it gets inserted into that they close up, similar to what they have for the platforms first, but for the blocks. So it would be just putting the mechanism into the concrete so that it's there. The reason we talked about it was it would be a nice thing to have when we have the pool rented out for parties, for the school picnics, things like that. Not something that would be in the pool on an everyday basis.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have roll call vote?
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Houts,
Ms. House, okay, sorry.
Mr. Panza,
No.
Mr. Ray,
It's just, it's so sad that we don't listen to our residents. I'm sorry. No.
Ms. Barron.
No.
Thanks, David.
Okay, next one.
16-foot deck umbrellas, I make a motion to approve 16-foot deck umbrellas with an estimated cost of $13,500.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
The only thing I thought about with this is based on pricing. I would prefer to make this, if possible, an ad alternate, only because we may be able to find umbrellas for a much less expensive price than what is on here. And we do have umbrellas like already that may or may not be in great shape. So that would be my recommendation, is to change this to something that would be an ad alternate.
But it's essentially a deck umbrella.
It's deck umbrellas. I think that what they're looking for is ones that would be more permanent to the structure as far as how they're placed in the deck versus separate. So that's one of the things that I definitely think having shade on the deck where people have chairs would not be a bad thing, but I also don't see if we could find a less expensive way to do it while still being safe. I think that's a wise decision. Any other thoughts, Kelsey? So I would be willing to resubmit this as an ad alternate bid instead of a bid.
So you have to do another.
So I would do another. So, I make a motion to add 16-foot deck umbrellas with an estimated cost of $13,500 as an ad alternate to the bid.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion?
Number 17 is 16-inch yard umbrellas. So right now you're voting on 16-inch, 16 foot.
16 foot
I'm
deck.
sorry,
So they would be on the concrete.
One's deck and one's yard.
And that's why I wonder if we could price out others instead of putting them into the bid, there might be a different way to go. But having the cost bid out would be good to know as well.
And so we have a motion to add this as an alternate. We had a second from Mr. Tintori, so we do need a roll call vote on it adding as an alternate.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori,
Yes.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Houts, Mr. Panza,
No,
Mr. Ray,
No,
Ms. Barron.
No.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the tall Mission Hill spill spray feature shown as amenity number 13 with an estimated cost of $11,000.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second? There's no second, so we do not need to move this forward.
All right, I make a motion to approve the tall Mission Hill shower spray feature shown in amenity number 14 with an estimated cost of $11,000.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have no second, so that is as follows.
All right, I make a motion to approve the tall Mission leading spray feature shown in amenity number 15 with an estimated cost of $30,000.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? So this is the one,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, as I spoke about in the workshop, in conversations with, families with young children and including, can I read the email that we received today? Additional comments from the community. I think that one feature in the pool, especially as it can be moved a little bit further out of the way, would make it a more enjoyable experience for families with young children. We did receive an email today from, Chris Zapp. I'll skip the, well, it says I'm in favor of providing a few permanent shade structures, but I can skip that paragraph. And then, excuse me, water features and pool toys are a yes to a slide, yes to a diving board, yes to a removable basketball hoop that can be used on slower days or on special event pool nights. Yes to 1 or 2 water features in the shallow water, could be a water feature or climbing feature. It would bring a touch of whimsy and fun for the toddlers. And then included a picture of the Brentwood pool for an example. So that does have support, also in conversations I've had with additional members of our community. And I think that one structure is a great compromise that would allow our younger children to enjoy the pool as much as our older patrons.
Yeah, I would like to say that I agree with Ms. Downey as well. We go into, yeah, travel, it's always nice to see kids of all ages play with a water feature. And while I don't think we need to clog up our pool design with a lot of them, I think one is a nice compromise and would be a nice feature for Brandon.
Any other discussion? Okay,
I have,
go ahead.
you want to make it that direction?
It's for our address, I believe.
It's, Kristen, it's, Zach Rozuski. Comment at 60, thank you, 60 Elmdale Road.
Well, we received a total of one email in support of the feature and some conversations the council had with their friends. We've heard from countless residents over the past 8 months, 9 months, that they don't want anything in the pool. We also had kids come to the workshop meeting, and there wasn't much support for anything in the pool. I heard them loud and clear.
Can you please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Schwartz,
No,
Mr. Tintori.
No.
Ms. Demi,
Yes.
Ms. Houts, Mr. Panza,
No,
Mr. Ray,
No,
Ms. Barron.
No. Okay, we need to move on to the yard umbrellas.
yes, so, I make a motion to approve 16-foot yard umbrellas with an estimated cost of $13,500.
We have a motion. Is there a second? There is no second, so there is no vote. All right, that is the final.
We are done.
We are done.
I would like to ask one last thing. Could you please take a look at Plan B, which we just now approved? And
Yes.
Take a look at the amenities in the debate report. Were they all approved?
No, we approved the slide. The water,
The water,
not
the deck spray,
the deck spray.
but not the mushroom
Or the starfish. correct.
well, I would suggest they be taken out immediately before we say this is our final design.
Oh, yeah, well, this is just recycling, this isn't the final.
I thought that's
No.
what we're voting on.
We were voting on the changes to the.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, we're going to establish that rendering
We
meat is
can
now,
make sure that those come out,
yeah.
but this will be, this was,
Yeah.
tonight was all about the big poll.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, make sure they all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure Emily will be on it.
I'm on top of it.
Okay, moving on to public safety and equipment, Mr. Ray.
yeah, public safety and equipment, earlier last month, fire department, there, am I gonna steal your thunder if I announce the names? Okay, the fire department announced, their 2025 line administrative officers. Those are, Chief Don Goff, Assistant Chief Dan Short, Captain Pat Walsh, First Lieutenant Matt McKenzie, Second Lieutenant Jim Davis. The administrative officers are President Lance DeWeese, Vice President Bob Williams, Treasurer Rena Lindsay, Secretary Tony Bucci. I'd like to congratulate all of them for their service to our volunteer fire company, years of service for many of them, and a number of other volunteer fire members of our department. I really appreciate your service. In February, they had 28 calls, 11 motor vehicle accidents, 5 vehicular fires, 5 residential commercial fire alarms, 3 possible or working structure fires, 3 odor investigations, 1 elevator rescue, 1 public service detail, for a total of 59 calls this year. So again, thank them for their volunteer service to our department. Our police department, they responded to 130 calls, this past month. So as always, we appreciate their service to our community. We'll be, in a minute, voting on the, agreement that we have with PA Chiefs Association. We have an active job posting for our police chief. And as of Friday, we have 4 resumes, submitted. The PA Chiefs Association is managing that process for us. In addition, I attended the rec committee's Valentine's Day dance, which was really well attended, really well put on. So great to be able to see everybody from the community and having a good time. And then before I get into my 2 motions, just have a point of order, full transparency. My committee was discussing safety related to the bridge. And I reached out to the bridge engineer, asking for information. It's been 4.5 years since we started talking about the bridge. We need a new bridge because at the time the engineers determined that it was unsafe. Well, that it was deteriorating and we needed a new bridge. It was safe to pass over. In the past 4.5 years, I think we received maybe 1 or 2 updates on the safety. I asked the committee if they'd be interested in meeting with the bridge engineer. Mr. Panza was interested, as well as Mayor Schenk. I reached out to the bridge engineer. We had a meeting set, and then I was told by council president that I am not allowed to contact contractors of the borough. That I have to receive approval from the council president and the borough manager before I seek guidance from our paid consultants. So just, I need clarification on where that policy is coming from, where it states in our charter or in our code that individual council groups, I didn't reach out and I copied everybody on the email. It's myself, the mayor and Mr. Panza. So I'd just like to know where that policy.
So I can step in on this one. So you're not gonna find a written policy or a written section of the charter. Typically, and I'm speaking as someone who's obviously a paid professional of the borough. It's common practice in municipal governments to establish essentially points of contact between council and paid, any service provider, whether it's a lawyer, an engineer, any consultants. Typically, in my experience, the persons who serve as the point of contact are council president and borough manager. And there's really 2 reasons for establishing 2 points of contact. Number 1, sufficiency. I can tell you that as your solicitor, if I were to get 7 separate emails from each council member up here with different directives, conflicting directives, it makes it difficult to obviously understand what my marching order is as your solicitor. Secondly, it's about cost, because if I have to respond to 7 different emails, obviously, much as I love all of you, I do get paid to sit up here. So I would drive up the cost of my services. So I've never seen it where it's a written policy in place that only the council president and or the manager can reach out. If that's something that Green Tree would like to establish as a resolution or written policy going forward, that's fine. Typically, though, it is just the general understanding or an agreement amongst council that doesn't need reduced writing, that only certain individuals do reach out for purposes of efficiency and with respect to both, like, I guess, cost and just general understanding of what the directive is.
So a little bit more history on the situation. I actually asked council for a workshop meeting with the bridge engineer, and I was told that a meeting with the bridge engineer would not be appropriate for a workshop, which is interesting because I think that would be an absolutely perfect opportunity for a workshop. Instead, they decided to have that meeting with the bridge engineer at our next council meeting. So I'm curious as to why not a workshop. So that's why I went out and reached out to the contract, the engineer, along with the mayor and Mr. Panza copied. So there's not a written policy.
Correct.
And so in this particular case, somebody reached out to the bridge engineer. He emailed him saying that he's not allowed to meet with me, the mayor, Mr. Panza. So I imagine it was either,
I did not do
so
that.
then I imagine it was Ms. Miller. Hypothetically, and this is hypothetically this parent, if there was a council president and a borough manager, that I needed to reach out to the solicitor because I was curious about potential nefarious things, not them, what would I do?
Well, I mean, obviously, you can reach out to me. I would, depending on what is being brought forward, I would use my professional discretion to determine whether I thought it was appropriate to respond to an individual council member directly. For instance, hypothetically, if one council member was concerned about nefarious activities in the majority of council members, that might warrant an investigation. I think that would have to be handled differently than an email that I received from one council member. That really is something that could just be handled through the manager or council president. In that scenario, I most likely would just reach out to council president or the manager and say, so-and-so shot me an email. Are you okay if I submit a response? I do that just to keep the cost low for the borough. Again, that is if it's something that I don't believe is nefarious or.
I've never abused that. In fact, I think this may have been the first, second, third time I've ever reached out to somebody I know we can pass with that issues. I just think that if this is gonna be a policy, then it needs to be passed by resolution.
Something that we could take up with finance and policy. Yeah.
We could have, Mr. Leland write a resolution for that. We can vote on it.
Yeah, I would prefer that the mayor is also included.
I'm happy to put together a written resolution for council to consider.
Yeah,
Policy is not a legal one, but, right, yeah, I'm
What's policy?
sure.
I think if it's in writing, I mean, policies in writing are better.
Mr. Leland, please do that for us.
Sure, and I do understand your concerns. I'm speaking more generally as it is, I think, in the municipality's best interest to establish points of contact, but I understand also wanting to.
Well, in this case, yeah, I was kind of disappointed that I was told that I was not able to meet, because again, it was with the mayor and another council member. And, the meeting was in the best interest of the community. There was no personal agenda. I wanted an update on where we stood. Fortunately, after I get that initiated, the borough manager reaching out to Gannett Fleming and scheduling the meeting. So I guess in the end, it all worked out.
I'd just like to call out.
Just one more. The Gannett Fleming did, without meeting with them, he did let me know that there are frequent inspections, that are performed on the bridge, and the bridge is in safe working order.
Thank you, Dave.
Ms. House, do you want to clarify that you have that information and that we know that that is regularly happening?
Yes, because I meet with Ms. Miller regularly and with the infrastructure committee regularly. And I've met with Ms. Miller frequently upon coming on council to get a better understanding of what is happening with this bridge project. As it started before I joined council, and I really wanted to understand the process of the engineering work. We are still in the final engineering stages of this bridge. It was put on the TIP program, the Transportation Improvement Program, which is why 95%, or I should say 80% of the bridge is being funded federally, 15-ish% is funded state, and then 5%, which Ms. Miller has confirmed is maxed out at $350,000, is funded by the borough itself. She has regular updates with the project manager. The project manager for this program is handling this entire project. And it just really occurred to me that they are keeping us informed. Green Tree does not, the borough does not really any say in what happens with this bridge since it was put on the TIP program.
Well, that's not true. We voted on the design, whether it was steel or concrete construction. So we did have to say the design.
That was before it was on the TIP.
Well,
I'd like to call out that I was included in the initial communication with Mr. Ray. He reached out to the Public Safety Committee to say that he was planning to reach out. And I said that I was not comfortable with that because A, it fell under the purview of infrastructure, and B, I knew that we generally had points of contact and that was the appropriate channels to go through, and then I was removed from further conversation.
And just one thing before we move on, just an idea. I know that the charter has a provision with respect to the calling of special meetings, that if a special meeting has 3 council members that want it to happen, it has to happen. I can include in the resolution something similar, that if 3 members of council, want to reach out to a hired professional, that either contact person, whether it be council president or the borough manager, has to then reach out. I'm not sure. That's something for you all to decide, but I just thought that could be a good compromise to help alleviate some concerns.
That's a great idea. Thanks,
I will include that language.
thank you.
Yeah, so I have a motion that, we move to approve the agreement with Pennsylvania Chiefs of Police Association proposal to provide consulting services for the purpose of assisting with the recruitment, hiring of chief of police.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, we can have an all in favor. So all in favor, please. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Thank you.
And, I'd like to table the next motion. I haven't had a chance to, or our committee hasn't had a chance to, reach out to Mr. Moss to see if he is interested in continuing his civil service commission.
We have a motion to table the next one.
Second.
We have a motion to table and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, that's tabled. Moving on to recreation and community events, Mr. Panza.
Thank you. Now we can get to the good part of Green Tree, finally, some good things. Let me start by saying there will be line dancing classes starting March 26th, running through May 28th. I think that would be a good thing for all of us to maybe try, and it would be fun. Also, a very important event, the Green Tree Borough Club announced their spring festival, and that is May the 10th. And that will be here at the Municipal Center. I see the farmers markets going to begin May 15th. May I ask members of the Recreation Committee how the process is coming along? Is it going okay? Is it?
Contact all
Okay, fantastic,
Hear back from all London.
fantastic.
I went on the food truck people,
Oh, well, I mean, that,
but other than that, we haven't done anything.
that's a very good sign. But then I will, 2 things. One, this, PennDOT meeting, of course, in the PennDOT meeting, discussion will be about this thing I've been trying for like 20 years to get. It's called the sound barrier for Park Edge Sheldon. So if anyone lives on Park Edge Sheldon, I would really suggest they attend this meeting so we can get updates on the status of the sound barrier. And then in closing, most importantly, the snowman building contest is ending March the 7th. So if you haven't, tomorrow, get out there and build a snowman, and you'll have time to enter the contest. That is the end of my committee report.
Thank you. We have the mayor's report, Mr. Shank.
Thank you. I went to the Farmers Ball, it was on February 15th. 3 council persons were there also, so it's always a great event, and we appreciate the farmers inviting us, and as Mr. Ray pointed out, we appreciate all they do, all the calls they make constantly throughout the year. I have mayor's office hours on Saturday, March 15th, from 9 a.m. to 11:30, so it's coming up. So if anyone wants to discuss anything on an individual basis, or sometimes 2 or 3 people come at once, that's fine too. And they tag teams, the tag teams are fine. Update on School Street speeding. There was concerns about School Street speeding. Lieutenant or Acting Chief Rannigan said the police have been enforcing the area pretty heavily over the past few months. The guys have mostly been enforcing the stop signs at Clifford Terrace and Reed Drive. He was able to get his hands on the traffic study equipment, but he's not gonna be able to utilize the equipment until the springtime due to snow plows. So anyhow, we're keeping an eye on that situation. It's brought up to us on School Street. There's that, also, the gentleman brought up the Avcol Street, so we're looking into that. In regard to three of our officers, Officers Feller, Officers Frederick, and Officer Bocci, they did the polar plunge. And they raised $1,500 for the Special Olympics. So we thank them for their efforts. PennDOT meeting, that's an important meeting. They're going to redo that interchange where the bridge goes over the parkway. So that's as indicated. I just want to stress it is Wednesday, March 12th from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. So you're going to get to see what they're thinking about, you know, whether to close the bridge, keep part of it open. You know, it's not final, but they're going to give you some preliminary thoughts and we can give them, the citizens can give them feedback also. I've already mentioned that I like invitations to committee meetings. I believe that the mayor has a legal right to attend. That's not mean I'm going to attend every committee meeting, but I'd like to get the invitations. In regard to workshop meetings, you know, I've been an advocate of that. And one reason is a lot of people, a lot of council members, and I think it's a good thing, meet with Miss Miller and they get information. They meet with Miss Miller, they get information, they know that information. But this is a collective body. Let's share that meeting at workshops. Let's all know that information. Not say, well, we know that, or I've talked to Miss Miller. Let's all have workshop meetings. I'm not saying every month, but every other month. That's 6 a year. That's 18 times. How often do the firemen meet? Every Tuesday. How often does the planning commission meet? Most of the time, twice a month, unless they don't have something to do. So I'm a strong advocate of workshop meetings. Going back to the police department, I always read the police reports. It always sticks out. They have 6 mental health crisis. I mean, not in the department, thank God. Thank heaven. But anyhow, they deal with a lot of people out there having different problems with depression and mental health. And they've been handling that very professionally without any complaints from the citizens. That's great. I really respect them for that. In regard to, I'm very happy that we're going to have that meeting on April 7th, whether it's a workshop or not. I mean, workshop might be better again at Fleming on the Trumbull Drive Bridge. I mean, we do have yearly meetings with our auditor. Every year with our auditor comes in and gives us, tells us what's going on with MS4, which is Municipal Separate Storm Source System. Every year we have a meeting. So here we have this big project, $6-7 million. So I think that it's great that we're having that. And then just lastly, in regard to, I agree that we have to go through channels, there should be points of contact. However, if council, I personally contacted through email the aquatic engineers. I wrote to council, didn't get any response. So if you try to go through channels, you get a roadblock. I will continue to go straight to whatever the resolution is. I get 3 people to agree. If I think that I'm getting a roadblock and that the points of contact is not working, I think we have an obligation. But I agree, most of the time go through channels, most of the time points of contact, if that can work. And then the police chiefs, they're helping us, but it's going to be up to council to do some interviews. They're going to make the final decision on the police chief. They're getting the assistance, but the council's going to have to do a lot of work once it gets narrowed down, interviewing these people and making the decision. So hopefully the police department's been running fine. We have a lot of fine young gentlemen. They do a great job. So one of them is Officer Diamond, attended the Farmers Ball. His wife, so glad to see that they're participating there. So that's the end of my report. Thank you for hanging around to listen.
Thank you. So for the president's report, I have a few things. So the Green Tree Public Library appointed their officers in February. Amy Bittner is still serving as vice president. Caitlin Kadeem is the secretary. Ed Giles is treasurer. And Victoria Swindle will continue her role as president, which we discussed at our last meeting. There is a lot to celebrate at the library this month. I encourage everyone to check out the calendar of events. There's lots of events happening in March. But I think my favorite was that March 26th is National Ranch Day, which might be Pittsburgh's second favorite continent. And they have programs to celebrate ranch for adults and children. You can do a make your own ranch workshop, that's for the adults. And there is a scavenger hunt for children. As was mentioned earlier, the Garden Club has announced their spring event will be held on May 10th. And the Civic Club is hosting their spring luncheon on March 30th. Tickets are on sale now for the Civic Club. The information is in the spring newsletter on how to obtain those. That is the largest fundraiser for the Civic Club. They host it every year. And at that event, they award their annual scholarship to a current college student. Both of these organizations, the Civic Club and the Garden Club, are made up of many volunteers who illustrate their passion for positivity and hard work. Their organizations are made up of residents and non-residents who really come together to make Green Tree strong and beautiful. So if you can attend one or both of these events, or to contribute with a donation, or to contribute with a buying of tickets for yourself or someone else, I know that they would greatly appreciate it. I was with the mayor, Ms. Schwartz, and Ms. Demi at the Fireman's Banquet in February. It was a wonderful time. It is such a great night to be included in those honored events. It's always great to see and to celebrate the wonderful work that they do for our community. And I'm very thankful that they invite us to attend. I did have one email that I got over the weekend. It just came through yesterday that I wanted to bring up for our mayor and our public safety committee. I got an email over the weekend from a concerned citizen regarding the safety of community members who walk their dogs at night. This person said that they are noticing that so many people walk their dogs in the evening hours, and they particularly wear dark clothes, and it's really hard to see them. This is through our neighborhoods and not necessarily on the main streets. The resident proposed a solution in their email to me that the borough could purchase reflective vests for distribution. Since this is really a public safety issue, I would like to pass it on to your committee. And could you please do some research into the safety of walking in tonight and what we could possibly do? I'm sure council would be open to hearing ideas. I know I am, in everything from adding something to our website, or to see if it is possible to have some type of reflector that would be able for people to purchase or be given out. Is that okay? I'm gonna send it to both of you. Okay. And that really is the end of my report. There is a lot happening in our community this spring, and I am looking forward to seeing everyone at those events. And the manager's report, Ms. Miller is not here this evening. So we are now at the end of our event.
I would like to make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
We have a motion. This meeting is officially adjourned at 9:25 p.m. Thank you.